Hey y'all, it's your queen coming through right quick, right fast, maybe, with a review for The Best Man, the final chapters. Now, y'all, I'm gonna be kind of sort of doing these as if I'm gonna, do the background and whatnot to catch up and make the parallels and such. But I'm going to approach this as if everybody has already seen the first movie, the second movie, and all that. So, speaking of which, without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and get into. And with that being said, the first episode starts off with this magnificent montage of a recap through the first two movies. Well, the two movies, because this is actually a series. And I think I keep referring to like all three installments as movies because the series, each episode is structured like its own mini movie as opposed to just an episode. So keep that in mind if you have not seen it, okay? Because it makes it all that much better, to be honest. They are able to cover a multitude of things at once. Individually, it is very well paced. And the series and this intro of the recap of the two movies. So, of course, first movie, Lance and Mia is getting married. Harper is the best man. He trifling. You got Merch. He's the more delicate of the group. And you got Quentin, who is like the eccentric wild card. I often compare the male aspect overall, but particularly the male group of friends. They remind me of the male side of the coin to girlfriends. So I think of Lance is kind of like Joan, and Harper is like Tony, and Merch is like Maya, and Quentin is like Lynn. That's how I tend to see it. If you have any other friend group parallels, or if I enlightened something for you with that parallel, you feel like each of the guys could match with a different one of the girlfriends, let me know or whatever. But that's a parallel that I make. The four guy friends remind me of the four girlfriends from the series Girlfriends. And Nahu, Harper trifling, he screwed on Lance's soon to be wife in the first one and had done wrote about it in a book. It was all coming out at once. Everybody's dirty laundry was in the book, including his. And he up here called himself being in a relationship with Robin, so not Lathan's character, called himself being in a relationship with her. And he writing by somebody else in his book, Jordan, being his soulmate and his that and the third. What they do that at? Now, I'm gonna be fair and say that Robin probably gave him the benefit of the doubt of like it's just his artistic expression. He's just using those terminologies, even though it's based on real people, it's based on his real experiences throughout college with his friends and all this, that, and the third. She would probably still say, he's a creative and that's just him being creative, saying that she's his soulmate. Let's not take it that serious. But it builds up, child. He left ahead to go out there because Robin was coming for the wedding, but he left ahead of her. Cloaking it is all this, that, and the third, when in actuality, he was going up there to see if the pot was still hot with old Jordan. I consistently say that Harper needs his ass whooped. And I consistently remember that he did indeed get his ass whooped in the first one when it was found out what was going on in the book, paralleling the real life. And that's that he Mia. Lance voice. And y'all remember Lance about to throw him out the balcony and whatnot, like Big Red on the 5 Heartbeats. Quentin had to talk him down, child. Merch was originally with Shelby, and Shelby was much more prim and proper back then, okay? Now, that's being used a little loosely because, child, the tone and the presentation tends not to mean too much because Shelby was showing hints and doses of ratchetness even back then. But hold that thought. Got her man Merch stole off on by stripper back in the day, Canty, aka Candace. And y'all know Candace and Merch, so now married to each other. And Shelby, y'all, in the first movie, now granted, I was quite young when I first saw the movie, and when I watched it again as a young adult, I don't know, I think I just might have thought that the movie was over. And I never saw that scene of the first one of him ending up in the bed, of Quentin ending up in the bed with Shelby. I never saw that scene. I never knew that happened at the very end of the first movie, that Quentin and Shelby ended up in the bed together. I saw the wedding. I saw everything that happened. He caught the garter. She caught the bouquet. And they did their little thing on the floor or whatever. But I did not ever see that scene of them ending up in the bed together at the end. And that's why in the second one, and at first, when I watched this series, the first time, I was like, so when did they make this baby? When did this happen? I was like, when did this happen? Child, baby, I was left all the way behind. But now it makes so much sense because Quentin and Shelby ended up in bed together at the end of the first movie. And then, child, you get into the second one. Oh, I forgot. Harper, old trifling self, proposed to Robin, and Robin took him back way too quick at the wedding. Tisk. Okay, nah. Second movie. It's criminal time or whatever. Everybody gets together. Lance still kind of ticked off, but eventually he and Harper work it out over the commonality of not only loving Mia, but preparing to lean on each other in the morning of her death. Because despite the relationships and relations romantically and sexually of it all, they all have a kindred connection with each other. You can say that they all are each other's soul family. So the love is much bigger than any of those, petty, earthly, fleshy dealings and situations and wounds that they had going on. Is much bigger fish to fry. And they linked back up, got her done, all listed in the third. Jordan was cozying up with her, a good, tall, dark-haired, I don't remember what color his eyes was, child, but, he was giving Robin thick or something. And she was fooling with him, trying to do her little dating thing and whatnot. Child, baby, one of my favorite parts of the second movie, Candy and Shelby get into boxing in the foyer. Child, ooh, goodness. I can look it up right now and watch that fight. Goodness gracious, baby. Ooh, I ain't gonna lie. I want to see somebody fight like that on this series. But, well, I'm gonna hold that thought. Let me get to the recap. Okay, so, y'all know that they got to boxing, but everybody made amends. We got to see, like, some really sweet, but also, like, dark sides of Shelby in the second one, I feel like, when it came to how she was relating to her daughter and how she was talking to her, how she was treating her, and whatnot. And I'm holding that thought. I ain't gonna get ahead of myself. Okay. Anywho. But yeah, Shelby was showing some interesting qualities about herself in the second movie. Child, she had done been on Flavor of Love. We get to see that she's become this whole, like, infamous Nene New York type of character and image icon, if you will, in reality television. And I honestly love the things that they have done with Shelby's character. But again, I'm holding that up. Anywho, shit, Merch and Candace doing their parenting thing. I don't remember. Child, quite a bit happened in the second one, but everybody know that Mia passed away and it broke everybody's heart and everybody was boo-hooing and crying. Oh yeah. That was another conflict in the second one too. Harper was on a mission to write Lance's biography, and he did indeed end up writing his biography. We also got to see a little bit more about Quentin and Shelby's relationship. Also, we got some foreshadowing of some things that were revealed in this season of the series. And I started laughing, child, because it came to mind. I was like, something was going on with a phone, and I couldn't remember why. It's like something was recorded. Because, yeah, that was the ignition. I think that's the word. But that was that's what ignited the fight between Candy and Shelby, low-key, high-key. A video had done came out of Candy back in the day when she was a stripper. And the video was alarming, if you will. It showed Candy in compromising position and seemingly compromising position, if you will. They also did the iconic, the legendary imitation performance lip sync karaoke of Can You Stand the Rain by New Edition, child. Epic. Love it. Robin was also pregnant in the second one, and at the end she had her baby. Lance also delivered the baby, and they named the baby after Mia. They named the baby Mia Gwendolyn. What's that last name? Shit. Whatever Harper and last name is, child. Yes, we learned that Jordan is the godmama of Lance's kids. And by the end, child, Quentin started hollering about he is engaged to be married. And Harper is going to be the best man. Who's Harpo? So, y'all, I've watched the entire series once. I watched the first 3 episodes now 2, maybe 3 times. I'm watching it again as I go through the review. And I'm still seeing new shit. So, for instance, we start off with Harper and this office type situation. Really nice office, too. I feel like it really fits Harper. You know what I'm saying? It fits his vibe, his aura, his persona and all that good shit. So everything is like real caramel butterscotch and chocolate colored and like leather and silk and shit. Looks real nice. Right? Some hints of red in there. It's given. So I'm just now noticing that this is like they show us 2024. So it starts off with like a flash forward, giving us a peek into the future of the year 2024 and where he's at. And it's a lot of foreshadowing that I'm noticing. But wow. Okay. So this is 2024. He's going out to be honored for something. As far as we know, he's being honored for something, and he is standing on this big stage looking out amongst this big crowd. And from him leaving the audience and walking up onto the stage, he is giving his monologue about figuring it out, reasons why people get married, and finding happiness and success, right? And at the end of the monologue, he says something along the lines of like, some of us are lucky to meet our soulmate. If we're lucky enough, it may not happen how we want, but we end up exactly where we need to. And the camera pans to Jordan. And if you're not careful, and if you didn't see that, like I didn't see that the first couple of times of watching it, of the fact that it is starting off showing us into 2024, your mind may not interpret that as what may actually be going on there, right? You think it's just Harper and Jordan doing what Harper and Jordan usually do, being supportive of each other. Jordan is usually supporting him and working at the same time. So originally my mind was saying that she was there as a friend and on work to document the story. But like I said, I'm handling this like you've seen the whole series, right? So you know, after seeing that and watching it again, that by 2024, at that particular event, Jordan ain't on no job. Huh. Wow. So they take us that far into the future with it. And then they take us back. We get a title card flash of The Best Man, the final chapters. And then we get a title card flash of Chapter 1, Paradise. Then we get a title card flash. 2015. So, child, they took us way back to 2015. And who do we see? We see Andy, Cohen, and Shelby hit the beat. Boom, boom. Oh, she a housewife. Boom, boom. On Watch What Happens Live. And what happened on Watch What Happens Live, honey, is clearly Andy was there with the mess. And the mess was Quentin getting married. Y'all, I loved this part of the show. Shelby has literally become probably my favorite character of the entire franchise. And I love that they fully committed to making her a reality star. And not only a reality star, but one of the queen bees of reality. And the lady that plays her, oh my God, her name is escaping me, but I might put it up there on the, I might put it up there in text or something. But the lady that's playing her, oh my God, her right there, yeah. Oh my gosh, she is doing the damn thing. I love it. So Andy addresses the fact that Quentin, her old college buddy, quote unquote, is getting married to I think Ziamara. Her name is Ziamara. She is apparently a public figure, some type of reality show icon, and then some as well. And Ziamara is the lady that Quentin is engaged to, honey. Tisk. And she's an eccentric child. Who, I mean this in, you know, just the most balanced way possible. It's giving Jada Pinkett. Yeah, it's giving Jada Pinkett crossed with Eva. Yeah, it's giving Jada Pinkett crossed with Eva. That's what Ziamara gives. And Ziamara is played by Nicole Ari Parker, who I didn't even realize that was Nicole Ari Parker until by the second, third episode. Baby, the dark hair threw me way off, but I definitely prefer her with dark hair. Definitely becomes her. And I love her in this role too. She was given everything that needed to be gave as well. I love overall how they implemented the housewife reality show world and aspect into the world of this franchise. I love how they did that, because a lot of movies act like reality TV doesn't exist. Like even when it's a successful group of friends, reality TV is not something that really comes up, let alone is weaved into anybody's storyline in that way, and certainly not in the way that they are doing it, have done it with Shelby and Ziamara. And I really think that's dope as fuck, especially being the fact that this is an all-black cast and this is a black movie. And it's a rom-com. And it's a group of successful black excellence as friends. And a part of that black excellence is a reality show queen. And I just really love that, because I feel like they handle it in a balanced way. Because Shelby has both infamy, and throughout the series, we see her show a different side of herself. We see her bring back many of those, what's the word I'm looking for? Many of those more politically correct, if you will, more of those classy type elements and values that she had more so in the first one. We see her achieve duality, basically. We see her achieve duality and bring both her classy self and ratchet self together more in this series. And you can kind of see hints of it in this scene with her on Watch What Happens Live, even before she even starts really actively going on the journey. Because, well, you can actually say that she's still within the journey. This is 2015 that is currently set in this scene. So you can say that she's kind of still within the journey, because in the second one, like I said, she was off the steam of having been on Flavor of Love and some more shit, if you will. And she was in, like, I guess you could say that trashy stage, that trashy era of reality television. Whereas we get to 2015, which may be a year or two after the conclusion of the second movie. And she is now a housewife. And you know how, we tend to do the reality show hierarchy. The housewife franchise is at the top of the food chain. So that definitely gives a peek into her growth in her reality show career. And low-key, high-key, kind of, sort of, as a person, but also kind of seeing some of those same-old. Because as Andy addresses the engagement of it all between Quentin and Xiomara, Shelby trying to play it cool. And she playing it cool, child. She keeping it classy. And she looked damn good with this silver-toned, platinum blonde, long wig. Part down the middle, nice curly wavy, going down, draped over her shoulders and breastises and torso area. Okay? Looking damn good. Looking scrumptious. H2T. Clean. That's the power of Pine Sol, baby. But child, he addresses it. He like, oh, how you feel about that? Because, child, you was giving us some alarming antics. We got questions. The people want answers. And she's like, oh, it's not a big deal. I'm happy for him. I just, I want him to be happy. And it's that and third. And he like, oh, really? Because when we filmed You Get in the News, you didn't seem too happy about that. Child, they show the footage. They roll the beautiful bean footage. You know that Bravo is good for rolling some footage and catching somebody up in a lie, honey. And she was definitely caught up in her lies and in her jealousy, honey, in her fatal attraction, darling. In the scene, honey, she is at the parlor. What that is? She at the nail shop, honey, getting a pedicure. She get the text, she get the notification. She see that shit. She tries to play it off. Child, she cut the fool. Got up out the chair, about to kick this lady in the face. She runs out to the car she driving. She about to lose her mind. Stop in the middle of the street, get out the car. She hail a taxi, drive over to Spivey headquarters. That's Quentin business business area. I don't know if that's the name of it, child. That's just what I called it. The Spivey headquarters. She head over there to the Spivey headquarters. Hop out the car. She run up there, crash a business meeting that he was having. Done put hands, feet, knees, and all other objects on this man, honey. We do not support domestic or intimacy partner violence. But that scene was hilarious because she was completely losing her shit. And it was a perfect depiction also of how the housewives be on everything. That shit was perfect. That shit was perfectly done. The writing of it, the directing of it, the acting of it all, that shit was hilarious and perfectly done. Especially when she is in her own car, done sped off, and she's snapping the fuck out like, who the fuck is this bitch? And da-da-da-da. And she look up and remember that it's a camera in her car, and she stopped in the middle of the street and run out. That shit is hilarious because they show be saying how, like, housewives in particular, but people on reality shows, like, the longer they're on there, they lose their, like, sense of the camera. They literally get so comfortable that they forget that they're about every move is being filmed type shit. So she's spazzing the fuck out. And then just for them to get on the reunions or even on the show or on Watch What Happens Live and have the host ask them a question and they sit up there and boldface lie, then they show everybody the footage, and then they sit up and boldface lie some more. Because Andy, after they showed the footage, and she just looking like, oh, okay, what, and what? And Andy is like, baby, you said that you was happy for him, but that looked like the remnants of a scorned lover. She's like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And she was like, baby, you being messy? He like, yes, it's messy. What you mean? And Shelby continuously plays it off. She's like, I don't even know, sir. I don't even know what school she go to. And Andy say, I'm gonna up the messy. And he gives this whole package. He has them roll a whole package of Xiomara introduction and information type shit. I'm talking about precision at its finest. And I'm assuming that she is still in the, that Xiomara is still in the reality show sector, but she's a singer, songwriter, movie writer, movie producer, model. She was on this and that and that and this and this, that and this and that. So they call her the unicorn because she do everything. She move everything. Put that on her wedding ring. Put that on her baby name. Anywho, so after they give that whole package, Azia Mara looking damn good and rolling down her resume that is damn good, all hugs up with Quentin, and he looking damn good. They paying back to Shelby, and Anzia's like, okay, so what you got to say now, boo? And she continues to try to play it cool, but we can clearly see that your girl is perturbed. And I love the thought put into everybody's wardrobe and costumeage also. I might do a separate video going down the fashions and everything, and I'll actually have the according pictures up then, but you know, we focus on the review of it all for now. But I want to point out some things about her wardrobe for the sake of, you know, analyzing and breaking down the scene and her actions and reactions within the scene. So she has on a pearly white, textured and colored dress suit type situation. Is very fitted. The top looks like a suit. The shoulder pads are skyscraping booski, okay? The shoes are gold. The dress also has like this gold type of like fringe type, knotted fringe on the side of it or whatever. It's real cute. It's real cute. But her eye makeup is green. And it's cute. It matches everything. It looks real nice, right? But we're dealing with jealousy and heartbreak here, which is also the color of green. So I love the thought put into her wardrobe. Whereas she's wearing white gives the aesthetic of purity, clean, innocent. She's also playing very coy and innocent. And the character choices of body language that the actress, and this is really cool too. I love when writers do this, when writers have a character that is an actor one way or another. So the actor that plays that character has an extra challenge and an extra layer of acting to do. And this doesn't just happen when the character is in any type of show business. This can also happen when a character is living a double life, or the character is manipulative or abusive, or the character is a preacher or a politician or something. That gives the actor, like I said, that extra layer of acting to do, because the character is someone who kind of acts their way through life. So whatever it is that they do in life, or whatever it is that they're trying to get in the story and their storyline of the story as a whole, whatever it is their motivation is, or whatever it is their circumstances are, they have to act their way through it for success. And in this case, Shelby is a reality star, and there is a level of acting that comes with it. And specifically in this scene, we are seeing Shelby acting her way through this interview, through this Watch What Happens Live, as she is trying to act as if she does not care. She does not have any feelings or anything of that nature for Quentin, and act like she is unbothered. And with all that said, I love the acting choices that, I really want to say the actress's name is Melissa, but the actress that plays Shelby, I love her acting choices. And like I said, shout out to the costume designer, because I love the costume and makeup design choice, whereas just as her body language and her vocal inflections and things of that nature are giving that she is acting her way through this exchange with Andy Cohen and the predicament and situation that her character is in, but her wardrobe is also reflecting that, whereas she has on white. It's very clean and pearly and pristine. Got a little, you know what I'm saying, hoosh patoot, as the skirts on the dress is rather short, so it's giving all types of leg, you know what I'm talking about? But then you get to that splash of green over the eyes. And not to mention, the actress that plays Shelby does a magnificent job of acting with her eyes. So I love the attention to detail and the self-awareness overall that is going on the show as a whole, but specifically in this scene and in the scenes that have Shelby. So same year, we then pan over to Harper, and he is in his office, not as extravagant as the one we see in 2024. But it's still pretty nice. We see his sentimentals and his work stuff laying all around, and he is typing and working and writing on something. It does look like he is sitting down, right? No, he just phone call, huh? And the guy who basically, like, I guess he be advising him and him, I guess like an agent or some sort for him. But letting him know that the folks, I'm sorry, y'all, let him know that the folks want to make a movie out of his first novel, Unfinished Business, which is the novel from the first one. So, interesting. Okay, I love how they weave that in there, you know, turning books into movies, because it's definitely relevant, it's definitely modern, and things that be going on. And messy. So you know it's gonna cause some conflict. And your boy asks Harper if he was sitting down. Harper says yes. Just be lying, honey. Just be lying. And the guy is like, no, I know you're not. You are standing at that ergonomically correct desk. And what I'm guessing that means is that the desk is made in a way that supports his height and body posture, standing posture, so that he doesn't have to sit, because like when you sit, it's not good for your joints, it's not good for your digestive system, and can help you or kind of lend to gaining unnecessary weight, things of that nature. So I guess that's what that is, and I guess that, they threw that in there. It's a little funny, and also like to kind of let us see where they've gotten in life. They got more money than they had in the past. They able to get fucking custom made, ergonomically correct desk and shit for Harper's office. And I ain't gonna lie, this house is ugly. So of course we are in Harper and Mia's house, and of course it's set in New York. They live in New York. Y'all, this house is ugly. The walls are orange. It's some nice black art around the house, but the house looks like Giselle Bryant designed it, and nothing is well placed. It's not very structured. It's kind of just like everything has a place where it's supposed to be, right? But it's also all over the place at the same time. It's kind of cluttery. It's like everything is just kind of forced somewhere or put somewhere, which looking at this now, I say is very much so a reflection of Mia and Harper's relationship. And speaking of reflection, this scene as Harper enters the kitchen where Robin is in there cooking and doing her thing, and the baby is in there. This is very much so a reflection from the first movie where Harper was in the kitchen and Robin was in there doing her cooking stuff, and Harper comes in to tell her some good news about his book. And in the first one, it was about Oprah wanting to use it in her book club or some shit, whatever Oprah wanted to do with it. And then here, it's that same book, but the book has the opportunity to be turned into a movie. Okay, I love that. I love the recalls. When Harper enters, though, he asks her, are they supposed to be going to dinner with Merch and Candace? And looking at this again, I'm noticing the body language and everything. And Harper is looking around at the space. Low-key, high-key, I feel like his face was saying that he was thinking kind of the same thing that I'm thinking. Like, everything kind of looks unorganized and distorted and all over the place. And he's asking her, are we still going? Because apparently she's late. She's not ready. She hasn't put on any clothes. She's not getting ready. She is in the kitchen, like in the prepping stage of cooking. She's chopping vegetables and taking out ingredients and deciding on ingredients and things of that nature. So like she in the beginning stages of cooking, which I feel like is reflective and indicative of a pattern that I don't think many of us may realize that Harper has been kind of tolerating or accepting, giving grace for when it comes to Robin. Because Robin seems to be kind of unorganized, lacks planning, if you will, not very stable for herself, and he mentions maybe we should get you some help. And in my mind, I'm thinking he's, like offering to get her a nanny or offering to bring in some employees or whatever. And Robin is reluctant to that. And what this gives me is that Robin is so consumed with her people-pleasing nature and being everything to everybody that she neglects herself, not only her own emotions and her own experiences, but she neglects her business. She neglects her planning of certain things. She neglects her self-care in certain ways. She neglects a certain level of structure and order, and she resists help. She resists support, not only in the way where he's offering to help her get help, assistance in handling everything, be it a nanny or an assistant, an employee, or whatever, what have you. But in hindsight, having seen what happened with their relationship and what Robin's issues were, it solidifies to me that, again, Robin is so in the swing of being like, that people pleaser, that kind of like strong black woman-esque thing going on, that she resists being supported. And another way that she resists being supported is Harper was paying attention to her in this moment. He was offering support in more ways than one. He was talking to her about her businesses and something that she is interested in. And she then deflected and put it right back on his interest and his focus, his books. After he offers her that support, she then says, tell me about this movie. And that just really, like I said, solidified to me, Robin, girl, what is it that you actually want? And it solidifies more of the parts of my perspective that feel like the demise of their relationship was really even split on some shit, because Robin is an active participant in her discomfort. But we'll talk more about that when we get on down the line. Harper does elaborate on the book to movie deal, and he is also talking down on himself and talking down on his accomplishments, and Robin is reassuring him, yo, your work is good. Look at your sales. Look at the success. Look, Be grateful for where you are instead of always looking for the next thing. And that is it's a great aspect that Harper has, but it's also a flaw. It's a double-edged sword when it comes to Harper, because that mindset is what drives his success, but at the same time, that mindset is what hurts his relationships, because he often comes off as if he is never satisfied, that nothing and no one is ever enough. And Robin definitely got the brunt of that. But as she reassures him, they talk about the what ifs and might happens of it all, and Robin lets him know, you need to, do some checks and balances, make sure that that's gonna be okay with everybody, at least give everybody a heads up, and you know where to start. And her like kind of doing this also brings up to me how much Robin is very protective of other people, and that's another way that she neglected herself, being very super protective of other people but not being so protective of herself. But when she says that, Harper is like, yes, L Boogie, got to start with Lance. And we cut from that scene over to the scene of Merch and Candace having lunch, dinner with Robin and Harper. Not much happened in the scene besides we got to catch up with Candace and Merch, and we can clearly see that Candace and Merch are in the swing of also trying to find the balance of career, relationship, family, and marriage life. However, I feel like they have a better hold on it in the way that they genuinely work as a team well. Like, it is literally real teamwork. And what I mean by that is they both reciprocate the other one's actions and effort. They both are flexible. They both interchange roles. They pick up each other's slack. When it comes to Merch and Robin, is not so much of the reciprocation and picking up each other's slack and, the solid foundation of teamwork. It's very limited and one-sided, whereas Harper has a particular role, Robin has a particular role, and they are so stuck in those roles and what they feel like the titles mean and all of that, that they don't know how to pick up each other's slack. They don't even allow for slack to be picked up by the other one. Well, I'll say Harper is much more comfortable in dropping his baggage off on Robin, of course, and Robin's role is picking up all of Harper's slack. So, yeah. And like I said, whereas Merch and Candace, they're holding it all up together. Candace has her flaws, they address them. Merch has his flaws, they address them. If one can't do it, the other one will. This, that, and the third. And it's able to be like that because they both are selfless individuals, as opposed to Harper and Robin, where, and I'll get into that more. Some of y'all might get mad at me, but both Harper and Robin are selfish. Robin is more compliant and cooperative, but both of them have selfish natures. And that's also why they struggle to work together. But Merch is salty about Harper being the best man, and it's kind of understood because even though all of them are friends equally on some shit, Harper and Lance are more of, their duo, and then Quentin and Merch are their own duo, and they come together, make the quartet, they all cool like this here, da da da. So whereas it's expected for Harper to be Lance's best man, you would have thought that Merch would have been initially chosen to be Quentin's best man. But that ain't what happened was. So, with that being said, on one hand, I kind of feel like in the second movie at the very end where Quentin says, he's getting married and he wants Harper to be his best man, I kind of feel like initially for that movie that was written in as like a joke, a callback joke, homage to the first movie, a joke at the character, by way of the first movie through the second movie, all that shit. And for the series, they just continue to go with it and use it for storyline and depth and shit. And I feel like that fits. I feel like that fits because it is a great Kickstarter for what Merch's storyline gets into later in the season. But after the dinner or whatever, Merch says to Candy, like, I feel like he's downplaying it, da da da, which in actuality Candy had told Harper and him, my man sensitive, try not to lay it on thick or whatever. And so they already know that anyway, so they really wasn't trying to dig the knife in. No way. But Merch is feeling some kind of way. So he is in a very obsessive vibe, but it is a happy-go-lucky type of passive-aggressive on the surface. He's not letting it be known to everybody outright. He's only being transparent about it to Candy, but it's showing in the most awkward and cringy ways when he is interacting with everybody else, especially Harper. And boy, just wait until we get to the actual vacation. But we, child, trying to see if I want to talk about the kids. Okay. I enjoy how in that scene we get input from Candace and Merch's kids. And it pops up by way of the conversation where Merch Harper says how, he wants to get everybody's blessing for the book turn movie situation, is that and the third. And Candace, was like, oh yeah, okay, that's great. I'm just glad nobody was around to be documenting my college life. And her kids was like, when you were a stripper, and the other kids like, what's a stripper? And then they have like, what's sex? And all this other stuff type of conversation. But I like how before Merch gets involved, of course, but particularly as it concerns the stripper topic coming up and it being obvious that Candace has had a conversation with her kids about the fact that she was a stripper in college and how that was a way, that she was paying for college. It wasn't something that she just really wanted to do. It was something that she felt like she needed to do in order to get to the next level in life, in order to get to where she has been and where she is by this time, and then some, but specifically by this time in the show. I really appreciated that. It was a very quick moment, but it wasn't a small moment, because I feel like it showed a great example of a parent, a mom in particular, being transparent and honest with her kids without oversharing all at the same time and without being too vulgar about it, like literally being balanced. And you could say it makes sense to Candace's character and what her character does in her life, being a person that works with the youth and, studies, educated, professor, all of that. So it, makes sense, but it also says a lot about the type of person that they wanted to show Candace as, and that's somebody that is very well-rounded, pure-hearted, and balanced, flawed, but balanced, just very well-rounded, very likable. I love Candace's character, and I love Regina Hall, so it's the bee's knees. So after that scene, we cut to Jordan and Shelby. I be want to call her Kelsey, y'all. So if I fuck around and say Kelsey, just know that I'm talking about Shelby. But we cut to a scene in a diner, coffee shop type situation. And they are conversing about the pending wedding. Shelby want to know where the wedding gonna be. And Shelby, low-key, high-key, ends up baiting her. That's so crazy because Jordan is the one that's like really in it, but it shows that Jordan's in her head, and child, it's a lot of nuances that I peep in this scene. So I might do a separate video on this scene alone, but just to sum it up, because it's a really quick scene and there's so much more to talk about in the episode. This gonna end up being like a 2-3 part anyway. But anywho, they Shelby asked her where's the wedding gonna be. Jordan don't want to tell her because she know that Shelby is on some crazy shit. So Shelby, plays it off like, oh, gonna be on my best behavior, da da da. I ain't going no way. I just want to know. And she instead, goes into talking about Jordan's romantic life, if you will, and her work-life balance, and basically uses that as a door opener to get in Jordan to give some insight on what's going on with the trip, where it's gonna be at, what she gonna do on the trip, da da da. And Jordan is basically giving that she's not focused on love. She's not focusing on settling down. She's just trying to get some relaxation. She's just trying to get some rest. And I feel like on the surface, initially, one could easily gather that Jordan is overworked and she just needs a break. But the way that, I'm going to say the way that it's written too, because you got to play the cards that you dealt as an actress, but Nia Long is definitely showing like even more range. Like I love when people don't stop growing just because they reach a certain point or just because they reach a certain age or just because they reach a certain status. So I really love how Nia Long is one of those ingenue actresses. And for those of you that don't know, an ingenue actress is the more quote unquote delicate, usually plays the damsel or the damsel in distress, usually plays the girlfriend, the wife, the girl next door, childhood friend type character. So in simple terms, Nia Long, J-Lo, Sanaa Lathan, ingenue actresses. But I said all that to say, Nia Long is an ingenue actress that has range and continuously shows range. And I love the range that she continuously showed in this series. And specifically in this scene concerning this particular line when she recites how, she really just wants to focus on rest and enjoying herself and getting some sunlight, being on the beach and all of that. And like I said, on the surface, you can think, she's just overworked. But the way that Nia Long emotes and conveys the story and the experience and the fantasy of her character with just those particular lines that, seem so small, in a scene that seems so small and so minuscule and so short, you can feel that it's not just her being overworked. You can feel that it's so much more soulful and spiritual than that. You can feel that it's more going on with her. And it's only like 13 minutes, within the show, and you can feel that it's so much more than meets the eye. And it makes it seem all the much more better because even though it's a conversation about what are we about to do on a trip, what's happening with the trip, what's happening with the wedding, what do you think about this and that, what are your plans and this and that, what's actually being conversed about is a strong Black woman trope, which is ultimately a stereotype. And we're getting to see mirrored perspectives of stereotypes. And what I mean by that is, if you've ever seen Lovecraft Country, if you've ever, and particularly listened to the Lovecraft Country podcast, and they discussed how the two sister characters, Letty and Ruby, what was her name, right? Ruby? I think her name was Ruby. But the beautiful dark brown skin lady that was playing Johnny Smollett's sister in Lovecraft Country, Letty and, I believe her name is Ruby. Letty and Ruby. They were talking about Letty getting a job. Letty said she would get a job at the department store. Ruby tells her that's impossible because I done applied up there multiple times. I'm hella qualified and they would not hire me. Letty is light skinned. Ruby is dark skinned. So the stereotypes rooted in oppression and racism and things of that nature, colorism and all of that, from Letty's perspective, it's very well possible to get a job up there at the department store. From Ruby's perspective, it's not possible because that's each one's individual reality. In reality for Letty, it's possible. In reality for Ruby, it was impossible. So in this particular scene with Shelby and Jordan, we have Shelby, a real housewife, and we don't get a whole lot of insight on Shelby's parents and background and childhood and all of that. But ever since the first movie, one could infer that Shelby comes from a family with money. She comes from a posh lifestyle. Well, one could also infer that her parents were first generation rich, if you will. Okay, so Shelby is basically trying to influence a sense of liberation. Emphasis on liberation. Shelby is trying to influence a sense of liberation over Jordan to just like let herself go and not only relax, take a breather, but relax, date around, go out, have fun, take time out, just get to know yourself, be yourself, this, that, and the third. And Jordan, I want to make sure I call them by their character names. Jordan is stuck in the mindset of, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, because I'm a Black woman, so I have to do this and I have to do that, and I'm a Black woman in this field, I have to do this and I have to do that. And Jordan is stuck in the qualifications of her stereotypes. Whereas you have Shelby, who has flexed and capitalized off of her stereotypes. And that honestly makes sense because in a world of racism and colorism, specifically in the industry that they're in, mass comm, reality television, entertainment, media, that is the entertainment industry, and colorism is very prominent in the entertainment industry. So with that being said, it is a greater chance that Shelby is able to capitalize off of her stereotype because as a light-skinned woman, there are certain privileges that she has in the entertainment industry. She can show her ass, she can act a fool, she can smack bitches and cuss motherfuckers out and all that shit and get away with it a lot of time, be praised for it, be paid for it and all of this and that a lot more, and get endorsements and crossover deals and still remain universal, quote unquote, no matter what she does because of society's conditioning. Whereas for Jordan, there is a certain particular way that she has to move in the public eye and in the eyes of the people that she works with and comes in contact with, because one false move and they will get on her ass simply because she is a monoracial Black woman. She is obviously Black and they're looking for a reason to be afraid of her. They're looking for a reason to hate her, assault her, cast her straight. They're looking for a reason to get rid of her just because of how she looks. So much like I said about the, perspective possibilities and the mindset of possibilities based on the perspective of placement and all of that as it concerns Letty and Ruby, and what's possible for Letty from her perspective, what's possible for Ruby from her perspective. In this scene, we have Shelby trying to ensure Jordan that what's possible for Shelby is possible for Jordan. And Jordan is trying to enlighten Shelby, no, it's not the same for me. I can't do that how you do it. I have to do it differently because my placement in this conditioning is different. Amazing, child. Amazing writing, amazing acting, amazing. But yeah, so that scene is wrapped up by Shelby just following up and emphasizing to Jordan that she just needs to get out of her head and find ways to get out of her head and find a space and place where she can get in her heart type shit. And of course, you know, Shelby, she didn't say it in that many words, but she just told her to go get out of her head. But we know what she meant. And she also says, since you brought up the Sullivan kids, because, you know, Jordan, and her response to that was like, you know, in between work, doing what I need to do and playing mommy, auntie, whatever she said, you know, along the lines to the Sullivan kids. And Shelby's like, so with that being said, what's up with the Sullivan kids? And that segues us into a scene of child. First of all, Jordan looks down, like her ending scene look. I forgot what the fundamental term is for that, but her ending scene look after Shelby asks her what's up with the Sullivans and all of that, and how Jordan looks down, like baby, it's not good. Because of course, where we are in the timeline, it is not very long, probably like a year or so after the second movie. So after Mia had passed away. So that segues us into a scene with Murch and Harper going to intervene with an intervention upon Mr. Lance. Tisk. And baby, let me tell you how I love how the writers and the director and the actors definitely made great use of every single second of filming time and showtime. Because as Murch and Harper are walking down the hall, there is a conversation about intervening on Lance. What's really going on with him? What do you think it is? What do you know it is? What can I expect when we go down here? There's also a conversation about dynamic placement, of course, wrapped up in a conversation about Quentin's wedding. And I said dynamic and placement, but dynamic and placement in correlation also with manhood. A lot of things and conversations about manhood. We're going to talk about it. Because all these little moments are foreshadowing so many other things that happen throughout the season. All these little things, like perfect use of time. So Murch is like, is this an intervention? Also, let me set the scene for you a little bit, okay? Lance is not staying at the house, honey. He done went, I don't know if this is a space that they already own type shit. But he basically got him a suite in this really nice hotel type shit. Airbnb type shit in a hotel. Whatever. It's a nice hotel. Walk in, got some nice engraved art on the wall and shit. Tall ass ceilings and shit. It's real nice or whatever. Baby, oh, yes, I'm definitely going to have to, boy, I'm going to do a lot of separate videos on this show because I also want to talk about the costumage and set of it all. Anywho, Murch and Harper walk through the front doors of the establishment, honey. And Murch is like, so is this like an intervention? Harper is like, oh no, it is an intervention. He is emphasizing, honey, this is an intervention. This man done canceled on me like 5 times when I done tried to invite him to hang out and this, that, and the third. It is not given. So Murch is like, oh, hell no, that ain't like Lance. That ain't like, what, is it alcohol? What you think it's given? Cocaine? Harper's like, no, he's knee deep in ass, baby. Lance has been fucking everything, fucking everything, fucking everything. And which gives me mixed feelings because my dude, you done abandoned your household. Boy, you done abandoned your folks. You done abandoned your kids. You done abandoned your home. What you doing? But at the same time, I would rather him, if he gonna be fucking bitches and doing all of that extra ass shit, you know, in the midst of his grief. Because not everybody handle grief differently. And he is grieving. It's a lot, you know? So it's understandable. And low-key, high-key, I would rather him remove himself away from his kids. You know, being the fact that they are like teenagers. They're like pretty stable teenagers for the most part, and Jordan is doing her thing. It just is just very unfortunate, but yeah. So just like cocaine. He's like, he's knee deep in ass. So yeah, he in there fucking everything, fucking everything, and that low key makes sense and brings up a piece of his character that I guess you could say went dormant once he got married to Mia, and that is him being ultimately hypersexual. And I feel like this particular implication of it being the fact that he is using sex to cope with grief. I feel like this is a bit of confirmation that Lance's hypersexuality stems from trauma. So it makes me want to go back and watch the first one to see some things to kind of like, I don't know, I guess come up with my own conspiracy theories as to what Lance may have experienced to cause him trauma to, you know, use sex to cope with things. But anywho, Murch is like, oh yeah, everybody handles grief differently and uses that to segue into So he doesn't know about the movie, huh? March want to know about this movie too because he's concerned about how he's going to be portrayed. And this is another element of a conversation about manhood coming up because March is concerned about essentially how his manhood is going to be portrayed because he knows that he's not his stereotype. Merch is a dark-skinned black man. He used to have locks. And it's a double-edged sword with dark-skinned black men because dark-skinned black men tend to be sexualized and desired a lot when it comes to sex and attraction and things of that nature. But then they are also feared a lot when it comes to a multitude of other settings because of their aesthetic, because of how they look, because they are dark-skinned and possess many other of the phenotypes that are tend to be associated with it. So Merch is having some identity issues, if you will. He doesn't want to be the toxic masculine stereotype, but he also doesn't want to be portrayed as a simp. So he's also kind of being controlled and tormented by the stereotype at the same time. And Harper, in this moment, I feel like is so like hyper focused on other things that he's kind of oblivious to what's actually going on and what's actually being said by Merch in this exchange. But he is like giving these facial expressions like something's afoot here. So Merch is concerned about who's gonna be playing him. He's emphasizing to Harper, I'm not, the same like simp henpecked dude that I used to be. That dude. And I am screaming. Something like he that dude. Because Merch is looking at him like, nigga, what? Where you get that from? And Merch got it from the kids that he worked with. But Harper just goes on to emphasize that he is checking in with everybody to make sure that everybody is content and at peace with it being portrayed and what is going to be portrayed. Actually though, based off his body language and shit, Taye Diggs does very well facial and body language, like when it comes to the way he's able to alter his facial posture and his shoulder posture in particular, and the way that he motions his hands. Like, so they're walking to the elevator and he's pressing the buttons on the elevator. He acts from H to T so much so that the way he presses the buttons on the elevator are indicative of the nervousness that is radiating through him as he's going up to have this intervention with Lance. Because while he's saying, I'm checking in with everybody, I'll make sure everybody's cool, like I said before, he is hyper focused on confronting Lance. Not only about him having canceled on him all these times, but he is heavily concerned and worked up about how Lance is going to feel about this book being turned into a movie. Because y'all know this book got his ass whooped by Lance. And not only his ass whooped, but it like flipped a lot of shit upside down and around, and he was cast astray by Lance for many, many, many years. So he's definitely walking on eggshells and shaking his boots concerning addressing Lance about the possibility of this book being turned into a movie, especially being the fact that Mia is no longer around, and it's very clear that Lance is not coping well. So yeah, I said all that to say that I feel like while Harper is concerned about getting everybody's blessing, Lance is really top priority. And I want to elaborate further on what I brought up about Taye Diggs' physical acting, his bodily acting. And there is a tension and a stiffness that he's maintained in his eyebrows, in the puckering of his lips, and his shoulders. And there's a limberness about his arms as he moves, but his wrist in particular, his wrist in connection with his hands still have that same stiffness that his shoulders and the area of his eyebrows and his mouth do, which shows that he's trying to appear cool. He's trying to appear still swift and easygoing heart. But for real, on the inside, he's shitting bricks. And it's just like, wow, like, damn, like he really is heavily concerned. Like, he really values Lance's perspective of him. And I feel like, in a way, idolizes Lance. And I'm going to save that conversation for another time because I am about to wrap up this part of the video. Because I think after this scene, it goes into the vacation. So I'm just going to start a part 2 on the vacation part of this episode. But it just really shows how much Harper truly, like, prioritizes Lance's opinion of him. So, child, Merch is basically trying to do a trade-off with Harper, basically trying to tell him that he'll give him his blessing if he give up the best man role. And luckily for Harper, Lance opens the door, but unluckily for them, he opens the door with his robe open, and he ain't got nothing on under it. Luckily for us, he opened up the door with his robe open, and he didn't have nothing under. But child, we'll talk more about Morris Chestnut and his tenderloins and his assets in the next part. Anywho, so yeah, they like, whoa, I can't talk to you. You got that thing loose. So he like, my bad. He closed up, invite them in or whatever. They go in, and he got two busted, built by Mattel type chicks with raggedy wigs sitting in the living room area of his area, and they eating suckers and looking real ratchet and being real frisky with the fellas. When I'm talking about, oh, I like a little one, he cute. I'm talking about Harper, I'm screaming. So Lance been in there banging them down or whatever, and they go straight in. They confront him like, yo, what are you doing? Your life is in shambles. This ain't cute. And Lance is talking about how he can't stand to be around the house. Mia is everywhere. She even in the kids' faces. He can't do it. And Harper is like, dude, what you think she would think about this? Like, look at what you giving. And he just like, bro, I'll be feeling bad until they start throwing that ass. They start throwing that ass, and I just go mad. So they start reminding him that STDs do exist. And he started talking about how he used condoms 75% of the time. Tisk. And Merch pretty much lets us know that Lance was supposed to get a vasectomy. And Lance pretty much lets us know that he didn't do that shit. And so then they basically segue into convincing him to go to Quentin's wedding so he can, let a load off. No pun intended. But have some fun, be around people that love him and that love Mia. And so he's like, maybe, and Harper's like, okay, we can accept that. Really hope that you come through. We here for you. We gonna be here for you, my dude. And Harper bitches up, talking about, when the time is right, I want to update you on a couple of things. And March is like, no, go ahead and tell him now. No time like the present. I wonder if March was being a friend or if he was being a little messy. But Harper talking about he likes the future better. He want to talk about it in the future. And so Lance gonna fucking say, and this wraps up the scene, but Lance gonna say, I just got one question for the best man. Harper's like, what's up? Lance gonna say, did you fuck the unicorn? Talking about Ziamata, the girl that Quentin is engaged to. Yes, I love how we call Harper on his whole shit. A mess. Magnificent. But that wraps up that scene. Well, hold up, it was an extra little funny on it when Hart was like, nah, not even in my dreams. And Lance was like, you a better man than me. So what I can appreciate also, even though this confirms that Lance uses sex to cope with trauma, there is some growth shown here also, because he's being much more transparent and honest about it, whereas I feel like in the past he would have been much more on his Bible thumping wart manipulation type shit, whereas he was in a space to joke about it. He made it funny, like, you know what I'm saying? And that's low-key hacky some real shit, because he low-key hacky would have fucked her, you know what I'm saying? And so he's being honest as fuck about this shit. But yeah, that wraps up this part of The Best Man, the final chapters, episode 1, part 1 review. And when I do part 2, it's going to pick up from where they have arrived on the island for Quentin's wedding. So, y'all, it goes without saying that I have milked this cow dry, and I thoroughly appreciate the exchange of vibes. And if you're feeling synchronized, please like, share, and subscribe so that you can be one of the first to be back through these quaintly quarters for the next time. And be sure to bless my comment section with your questions and conversations. And as always, I bid you all like love, healing, and liberation. The emphasis on liberation. Mwah!